Many will have heard of the Valkyrie plot, where a bomb was placed in a meeting room to kill Hitler on the 20th of April 1944, and that it didn't succeed. Few will know that the group conspiring against Hitler had several dozen members and had been plotting to kill Hitler even before the war started. Many projects were developed, and a few were actually tried, but none were successful. Even lesser known is the lone assassin of Hitler. Georg Elser was born in 1903. He often had to look after his 5 younger siblings. In 1919 he was an apprentice woodworker. In 1925 he was working next to Lake Constance, making wooden propellers for the Dornier flying boat. The same year, Elsa was working in a clock factory till it burnt down. After working again as a woodworker, he was once again in a clock factory. With some friends, he joins a communist group, but he's not really into politics. In 1938, Hitler has just made a speech reclaiming the Sudetanland as the German-speaking part of Czechoslovakia. This stirs up the European leaders, and on the September 29th, the Munich Accord is signed. Elsa realised that Hitler had to be stopped. He was also determined to dispose of Himmler, Goebels and Goering. He wasn't sure how to put his idea into practice. He saw a poster about the celebration of the formation of the Nazi Party in the beer cellar in Munich. It was to be on the 8th of November 1938. He decided to go. He didn't get in till after the event had finished, but he saw that Hitler had been on a podium, and just behind where he'd been there was a pillar holding up the balcony and the ceiling. If there was a bomb in that pillar, the explosion would kill Hitler and the others. He now had a year to put his plan into action. Early 1939, Elser is working in the Königsbronn in South Germany. In his spare time, he makes sketches of his explosives and clock system. He realizes that he needs to know the exact dimensions of the pillar and the hole that he needs to make. He leaves his job and goes to Munich. He spends the next week visiting the beer cellar every day with a sketch pad, camera and a folding ruler. He finds himself alone in the big hall and measures the pillar. Now he goes back to Königsbronn to prepare the necessary equipment. He had purloined some explosives from a munitions factory where he'd worked, but he realised he needed a lot more. He got a job in a quarry. He saw that the foreman kept the explosives in a concrete shed. At the end of the week, Elsa managed to open the door and take some explosives and detonators. He moves away from his parents' house and tells his new landlord that he's an inventor to explain the sketches and models. Georg has never made a bomb before, but he wants a timing mechanism that can be set to go off 6 days after being started. In an orchard owned by his parents, he tests prototypes of his bomb. He uses clock mechanisms given to him in lieu of wages. He also incorporated a car indicator. By the 22nd of July, the bomb is ready. He moves to Munich. Since he's had an accident in the quarry, he's been invalided, which allows him to devote all his time to his plot. Between August and November, he spent 30 nights inside the beer cellar. He would go to the beer cellar in the evening and have a meal. When it was near closing time, he'd go and hide in a closet until the last employee had gone. He can now start making a hole for a bomb. The bottom of the pillar was covered with wood panelling, so it was there that Elsa would make his hole, and he had to work on his knees. Elsa removed one of the panels, then cut a small door in it so that he could work on the pillar, and then close the door to cover his hole. The rubble he made by picking at the stonework, he put in a cloth bag. When he had finished his night's work, he would clear the dust with his handkerchief. Then he would hide in the closet again till the beer cellar opened and then exit discreetly. The 1st of September 1939, Germany invades Poland, and then Britain and France declare war on Germany. Working on his knees had made bruises which now started bleeding and got infected. He had to stop to recuperate. Elser didn't know, but Hitler had considered cancelling the event at the beer cellar to concentrate on the war, but decided to go ahead anyway. 1st November, Georg went to the beer cellar with a suitcase. Once he was alone, after closing time, he put the explosive in place. He would install the timing mechanism later. The 4th November was a Saturday and dance night. He had to buy a ticket to get in. When he gets to put the timing mechanism in place, he finds it's too big. He returns home and adjusts the casing for the clock. On the night of the 5th November, it's finally in place and set to go off at 9:20 p.m. on the 8th of November. He goes to Stuttgart to visit his sister and leaves his tools with her. On the 6th, he makes one last visit to the beer cellar to check that all is in place and ticking, and then leaves by train to Friedrichshafen on Lake Constance. After having a haircut and a shave, he takes the steamer to Konstanz. In the evening of the 8th, at the beer cellar, there are 4,000 people waiting. Then there's a big cheer as Hitler arrives. Normally he would speak for 2 hours, but tonight is different. The pilot of his plane is worried about the thick fog descending over Germany and doesn't want to risk flying the Führer. They would go back by train. Hitler cuts his speech short. At 8:58 he descends from the podium and shakes hands with many of the attendees, and then leaves the beer cellar at 9:07, just 13 minutes before the bomb explodes. If he'd been there, he would have been killed along with the other heads of the Nazi party. The ceiling collapsed on the podium. There were 7 people killed and over 60 wounded. Georg Elser had planned his action with great care. He told nobody about his plan, so he couldn't be betrayed. But he hadn't planned the escape too well. He was crossing the border from Konstanz into Switzerland and got arrested. The guards didn't know about the bombing, but Elser's border pass was out of date, and they searched his case and found detonators in it. There was also a postcard of the beer cellar. Hitler was still in the train when he was informed of the bomb. He instructed Himmler to find the culprit. Himmler put Muller, the head of the Gestapo, to the task. They made a general appeal for information with a reward of 500,000 marks. They were soon inundated with hundreds of suspects. Elser was just one of many. At the bomb site, Arthur Nabe found remains of the plate from the clock with a number on it. On the 11th of November, Hitler returns to Munich to attend a ceremony to honour the 7 victims. Rudolf Hess makes a half-hour speech full of hyperbole about the enemies of Germany. When the beer cellar employees were shown photos of the suspects, they recognised Elser. He was taken to Munich to be interrogated. He denies everything, but then they tell him to take down his trousers. They know the person who set the bomb had spent hours on his knees. The scabs on his knees were a giveaway. Elser and all his family members are now taken to the Gestapo HQ in Berlin. Now they know he did it, Elser tells the whole story. Hitler and the SS couldn't believe that he'd planned it all alone. The British must have put him up to it. An unrelated incident happened at the same time, which prompted Hitler to link both. Even though the war had started, Chamberlain was still looking for ways to stop it. 2 British agents, Best and Stevens, who were living at The Hague, had arranged meetings with a German refugee called Fischer. The meetings were in the militarised zone near the border with Germany. Germans were present, purporting to be German officers working against Hitler. On the 9th of November, the day after the beer cellar bombing, Walter Schellenberg of the German Foreign Security was present, and the 2 Brits were abducted into Germany. Hitler maintained that Best and Stevens, together with the Nazi dissident Otto Strasser, had aided Elser in his plot. Elser insisted that he'd worked alone, and even reproduced a sketch of the bomb and the timing mechanism. Hitler still can't believe that a German would do this. He orders that Elser should be kept alive. He was kept on the top floor of the Gestapo HQ till February 1941. They tried to get him to admit the complicity of the British, but to no avail. He was then sent to a concentration camp at Sachsenhausen. He's kept in solitary confinement and would be judged in a show trial after the war. His quarters consisted of 3 rooms, his cell, a cell for his guards, and a workshop where he could make zithers. As the war turns against Germany, Hitler is holed up in his bunker under the Chancellory garden. On the 8th of April 1945, Hitler gives the order to execute Elser. He was executed at Dachau. His family had no news of him until 1950, when he was officially declared dead. There were rumours that he'd been a Nazi, but it wasn't until the late 60s that the truth of what he'd done came to light. Historians found the reports of the Gestapo, which told the whole story. The beer cellar was pulled down some years ago, but there's a plaque about Elser at the site of the pillar. There is now a monument to Elser in Berlin, and many streets named after him. In 2003, a stamp was issued in his honour on the centenary of his birth. Thanks for watching to the end. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and share, and if you're not already, click subscribe and the bell. See you soon.